Hello and good day to all of you. My name is Blair and welcome to another Science is Cool. Today we will talk about cellular or mobile network generation. So we start with a massive boom of mobile phones way back in early 2000, and it was massive, right? And movies in the 80s and 90s has a luxurious type of car phones or mobile phones that is attached to their vehicles or a massive battery bag. So it was really like primitive at that time, and of course those days. uh, let's start with our Science is Cool today. Mobile generation network. I'm here in my Wikipedia, and of course I have searched for a lot of distros, and at the same time a lot of generations of mobile phones. So I have this website, which is the Wikipedia that we all have and we all know, and of course we have the mobile phone generations or the mobile telecommunications generations of networks. And based on these facts that we have, the first generation were analog, and at the same time we have that first type of mobile communication, which is the radio communication, which is the two-way radio, and eventually led into this mobile phone boom. And quality-wise, it's a little bit better than the radio communication that we have. So we entered the second generation of internet. And of course, this was massive at the time because the 2G or the second generation was really like the GSM or the Global Satellite Mobile Network. And it was way back in early 2000, early 1990s. And it was really like, let me see, it was carried out experiment in Finland at the time, and they make it a standard in early 1990s. And generation 1 was an analog type of communication standard that way back in 80s or 1970s at the time, where the second generation was really like in their test phase at the time. So I remember way back then that we have the 2.5G, but they marketed it as a second generation mobile phones, which is capable of edge and at the same time HSCD or HSC SD. And of course they also have the GPRS, which is the general package or packet radio services. And of course they were sluggish at the time. It's really not awesome, because I remember that one, it was really buggy. At the same time it was really not good by in any ways. Even of course, at the time, in way back in 1990s, we remember the so-called dial-up internet, which is only capable of like 16 to 22 to 36 kilobytes per second. It depends on the network that you are calling with, because if you call that particular number, it's just only capable of like 16 gigabytes or sometimes 22 gigabytes and 32 gigabytes or 36 gigabytes per second. It was really sluggish. And if you are like downloading a song or a photo, it was really low resolution at the time. So it was really those times it was really not awesome. But of course, we have the development, and we have this uh, third generation. It was really massive. They marketed it as third generation or 3G technology, which is very fast, like 144 kilobytes per second. And it was really like not really like doing good, but it was okay. It was not very bad compared to, to the previous generation, the second generation. They just put it second generation because it was actually 2.5 generation, or the 2.5G and the 2.75G, which is the internet connection at the time. And 3G was a little bit higher, which is noted right here, at least 144 kilobytes per second. It was really awesome at the time because we are having that over the internet VOP, or and the CDMA connection was a little bit revolutionized compared to the old sluggish second generation internet, or the network or mobile network generation. And we came up with the 3.5, which is a little bit better compared to the previous 3.3 gig, or I mean 3G, and 3.5G was a little bit like okay, but capable of fourth generation mobile network. And it was a little bit higher compared to the previous setup. But we also have the new third generation, which is HSPA plus. I remember that one because they were advertising at the time with a 3.5 HSPA plus, the high speed packet access plus. So it was really like a little bit okay, but it's still sluggish for me because I remember that we have that so-called pocket device, which is chargeable, and it is separated from your cell phone. The cell phone is different from your data outlet. So it was really like it has a SIM card, but you can access it through your cell phone via a website. I think it was like IP address of 128 point something. So those were the days. And it was really like covering a much better coverage compared to the second generation, compared to the third generation. Because at the time in the Philippines, I remember it was one of the international artists gave a SIM card to be used for their tour. And I remember that were interviewed through the TV, and they were asked how's the experience with 3G or third generation or 3.5 generation internet service. And they were saying that the speed was close to non-existence. Yes, you heard me right. Close to non-existence. Why? Because at that time we have the technology of connecting the network in their signal, in their transmitter, but it was not yet upgraded their whole system. The signal has the 3G, but the network servers are still with second generation at the time. So that was really bad decision at the time. So that was really a a downer at that time. So here it comes with the fourth generation. The fourth generation, I remember this one. The fourth generation that we have is a little bit like okay. It's LTE. It is the long-term evolution of the fourth generation wireless services that we have compared to the third generation mobile network, or the mobile generation network that we have. But the LTE, yes, we still have a infrastructure, but it is much more advanced. Signal was much more advanced because this technology, it is very expensive at the time, but at the same time it is a little bit like a upgrading every, not 1 year, but every 6 months they upgrade. And come to think of it, that type of transmitter that they are using, it's a little bit like a massive infrastructure. So they will continues changing from one cell phone to another cell phone tower until they just like instead of like a big massive tower, the fourth generation is not capable of high tower, because first generation, second generation, and third generation, the first third generation was it was okay to put it on the in this massive tower, but the 3.5G, the 3.5G and the 3.75G were not capable of putting in a tall tower, because it was in a level which is capable of receiving cell phone signals near, so that the latency is not very long. So that was actually that's what I heard. And even the technician says that, oh, the fourth generation, you don't need the tall tower. But of course, some of the implementers of this so-called mobile phone generation network was really not yet capable of learning those things, because they were just only presented with this type of technology and they didn't know the real score. So they know, yeah, they will be generations of new generation, but they were kept from the dark. They don't know what is this technology is and how it works and how much is the frequency is capable of. Is it long or short, or the short waves or the long waves? It depends. But we know right now, especially we have the 4.5G, the near capable of 5G capable network, mobile or wireless network for cellular phones. It was really like an LTE Advanced Pro type of network. So why do we have this kind of generation? Yes, we have this continuous changes of technology, because we are trying to get the shorter latency compared to the first generation, second generation, for 1G, 2G mobile network, which is a little bit like the latency is really long compared to the third generation, fourth generation, or the 3G and 4G. Right now we are in a 4G and it is capable. Some of our cell phone towers are already capable with 5G, and instead of putting on a massive tower, it is now on a street level. So that is the latency, because it is running and it acquires only the 700 megahertz band, which is very near so our cell phone can connect to each other. So that is why we have this type of generation of mobile wireless network for our smartphones, which is capable with the LTE and 5G. So let's talk about the 5G. So this 5G is developed in way back like in, let me see, in 2015 or 2011, 2015, within that area. I remember that one because I was already like listening to this type of information that my friends from the around the world trying to have this massive mobile technology standard beyond our 4G generation, or more advanced than 4G. So we have this 5G, and 5G is a little bit like from cell phone to cell phone connection. So one cell phone to another cell phone will communicate until they reach the so-called cell tower, because the network is not like the 4th generation or 4G. This time it is more advanced and the latency is a little bit shorter, and we are using the so-called more high speed. We are capable of 1 gigabyte per second speed. So it was really like from cell phone to cell phone communication until they reach into this massive cellular network in the ground level, so that it will just has these small bits of latency. So it is capable already like the 1G per second internet service, and it was really improving, especially coverage was really improving, because it is transferring from one cell phone to another cell phone to another cell phone until they reach into this cellular transmitter capable of receiving the signal, and it is not very long compared to the to the 3rd generation, which is still on the street level, but it is a little bit like transmitting from cell phone to the cell tower. The 4th generation is a little bit like stronger, but it is not capable of low latency. But the 5th generation, it is communication from cell phone to another cell phone to another cell phone until they reach the cell phone network transmitter tower. Oh, by the way, it is not tower. It's just only a street level tower. It is just like a telephone pole with a massive transmitter on it. And I was surprised because I haven't noticed that until I saw it by myself. That why is it this so-called there's a big event. There is a van with a not so tall tower, but just a I think it's just only a 10-foot pole with the transmitter to receive cellular phone. So that was the 4th generation, 4.5 generation, which is capable of receiving, until I reach like, oh yeah, that's the thing that they're talking about with the 5th generation. The 5th generation is just cell phone to cell phone to cell phone until the cell phone network. So how about that? The 5th generation is rolling out by 2020, which is right now. We have the 5th generation, and then it is still not yet perfect, because I think it will reach like in 2023 they will release the new version, which is the 5.5 generation or 5.5G type of cellular mobile network, which is capable of more speed and much faster than the 5G generation right now. So how about, what if we have this 6th generation? Let's talk about the 6th generation. The 6th generation capability is that it is a cellular network, still a cellular network, but it is broadcasting from cell phone to a cell network, but it is also capable of receiving our satellites up there. Impressive, right? So you're asking, how does this work? Because we don't have any so-called satellite dish in our cell phone. Let me think about that. So I researched for this so-called type, and come to think of it, we are using that technology since 3G. We are using the GSM, the Global Satellite Positioning Network, for our maps. We are trying to communicate with satellites above our head. And that is why when we are trying to look for our cell phone, like our location, we are trying to look into this this location, and yes, we could find our location. Oops, sorry for that one. It is a information for the notification. Oh, okay. So right now I'm here, and he knows where am I right now, because it is looking into this so-called maps, and I'm here in Kon Kan, Thailand, in northeast Thailand, and it knows where am I. But how do this communication works? It is a satellite communicating with my cell phone towards any satellites above right now. At least, like, I think 5, 6, 7 satellites it is communicating right now. So I was surprised. We have the technology to communicate in satellite. So before, I remember the satellite phones are really buggy and really like sluggish. Right now, we have that capability of receiving satellite signals from our cell phones. Before, we have a massive antenna just to get the cellular network, or I mean the satellite network from our mini computers. Oh, by the way, our cell phone is actually mini computers. It is not just call. It is a mini computer. Android is a Linux distro. It is a Linux operating system, which is using an Android OS and using a Linux kernel for their operating system software. So that is a massive technology that we have. We haven't actually think about this, but it's really like a very good technology that we have, and we trying to forget about it and doesn't mind how this works. But this technology is really advanced at our time right now. We are using a mini computer in our hands. Come to think of it, we have massive cameras to capture things, to capture events, to capture life changing moments. Now we only have this mini computer that we call cellular phone, but actually it is not a cellular phone, because it's just a part of, the cellular phone is just a part of that mini computer that it is in palm of our hands right now. So we are trying to communicate in our satellite, and guess what? Even our Starlink internet satellite network that we have right now, we are using that small dish, even our satellite direct to home. Before, I remember way back in 1980s, 1990s, I have the vivid memory of visiting a cable TV network. It was really massive, like one big house of satellite dish just to get few channels. And right now, we have only a small dish to receive our TV signal with a lot of channels, like 100 plus channels. Wow. So yeah, that is massive. Let me show you the direct to home satellite dish, sat dish. I will just like, let me see if we can open. I hope my internet connection is okay. Yeah, I think I have you see this? It is very small compared to way back then. It was really small. We only have like 76 or something like that compared to this massive satellite dish. Right now we only have like a pizza size satellite dish pointing towards the skies and getting a lot of channels. So I asked myself, in few years time, what will be? So the sixth generation is capable of satellite, receiving satellite. So why is it we have this satellite? Aha, here comes the Elon Musk empire. Do you still remember satellite or Starlink, right? The Starlink is a satellite provider, which is a satellite internet provider, which is capable of receiving a pizza-sized shape without any direction. It's just putting out outside. You're facing towards the sky, and you can receive satellite signals. So why is it we are using satellite already? So the thing is, we are now trying to colonize the moon and the planet Mars. So if we have some colonization on that particular area or planets and satellites, we are now capable of communicating through. Sorry for that one. I just sorry. My microphone. Okay, the microphone. So the satellite is basically like it is from one location to another location. So this will be like the so-called transmitting from our satellite, from Mars satellite to Moon satellite, and to communicate with our Earth satellite. So it is communicating through satellite to satellite, and we have that colonization in Mars and in Moon in the next few years from now. It will be like 2035 and beyond, and they will communicate with Earth via their cellular phone or their tablets. So they're using, or their computers on board their homes in that particular satellite, or in in Moon and Mars, which is planet, and satellite, which is the natural satellite we have the Moon, and we have the artificial communication satellite at the same time, which is, we call it just only satellite, right? So it is communicating from one satellite to satellite. So come to think of it, if you are under the so-called underground in a planet, like if you are staying underground in, for example, in Mars, you have to communicate from one cell phone to another cell phone, to another cell phone, until it reaches to the outside world, which is there is a satellite, I mean a cellular network pointing towards the satellite outside planet Mars. And that planet Mars is communicating through the natural satellite, which is our moon, towards the Earth communication satellites. And then it will beam towards our so-called persons like the European Space Agency, the Australian Space Agency, or the New Zealand Space Agency, or maybe in China, and of course the NASA itself, and especially, of course, the Starlink satellite networks. So it is communicating from planet to planet. So that is why we have this sixth generation, which is the first generation satellite network to be capable of receiving satellite communication, voice over, and internet. Because remember, in 2015 we have, and 2011 we have the GSM satellite network that is communicating through our location and our maps. So right now it brings the data towards the satellite network, not just your location. It is now a voice over and internet type of satellite networks. So, and of course, it is capable of AI. Why AI? It is artificial intelligence because it will communicate from one planet to another satellite, natural satellite. And it will communicate because the solar system planets, our solar system planets will communicate from one planet to another. We will eventually be a planetary species. So that is why we are trying to have this AI, and instead of closed source AI, to improve our AI massively, Elon Musk decided to open the AI, or the artificial intelligence, open source, so that it will have a lot of contribution around the world with volunteers to came up with the source code for the AI, for the artificial intelligence, to communicate from one planet to another planet to another planet until it reaches the Earth communication satellites. So we will wait for the 7th generation. Probably the 7th generation will be much better compared to existing right now, which is the study of the standard for the 6th generation. And I am really excited to know about the 7th generation network, mobile telecommunications that we will having in the 7th generation, what will be in our 7th generation. But at the same time, the 6th generation, probably they will be offering this in the year 2030s, because it is right now. Let me see if there's already plugged some information when it will. Oh, okay, so it already test the, oh wow, okay, so I'm correct. Okay, so they already test the satellite way back in 2020. China's already successfully test, because they were really eager to be the first. But the thing is, yes, they were the first, but it was not perfect. It was just like a test of signal. So the other technology that they're trying to, like in Europe, like in Finland and US, like Elon Musk, they were trying to perfect the communications satellite network that we are trying to use, the terabytes, the terahertz, the terahertz, which is communication technology. There it is. Telecommunication technology for space. Yeah, we're talking about space. And yes, the 6th generation development will be released in 2030. So that is a massive. Let me zoom in. Let me zoom in. There it is. There it is. So it is 2030. They will releasing the first 6G technology, and they were using the frequency from 100 gigahertz to 3 terahertz frequency. So it is really like awesome, and this is really like a new and exciting technology that we will face in the near future. And for sure, in that year, particular year, if it will release already in 2030, I'm hoping to see this technology work, and I hope it will be cheaper compared to, in the early 90s, that satellite cell phones, or even in early 2000s, the satellite phones are really, 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 really expensive. Only the super rich can buy that particular data, particular plan, and particular technology. So I hope this 2030 we will have this cheaper type of technology, a satellite technology that we have. So that's about it for now for my science school for evolution from the analog to satellite evolution of mobile communication generation network. And this is massive, 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 massive. Looking at this particular data that we have right now in the internet, it is moving forward, trying to educate us, trying to educate more people to have this fast forward on this particular advancement of our technology to communicate through our satellite. And yes, 7G or 7th generation deal with space roaming. Yes, it is happening, and it is now testing, making the history, making reliable, making the videos very impressive by, of course, by having this, this technology we have. Even our technology right now, our computers, it is much better compared to before. And right now I'm actually using my old computer. This is 2014 2015 generation of computer I'm using, and I'm using it with an operating system which is open source, which is Linux. And we all know that our internet infrastructure is using Linux. Even our cars, computer boxes in our cars using Linux. Smart homes computer softwares are using Linux. That's why we call it Android, because Android is also Linux. So I hope you enjoy our video today, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. And remember that science means knowing, because science is cool. This is Blair saying ciao for now. See you in the next episode.